Hey there, Paul from Verbal here. We're building the biggest audio destination on the internet, where audio creators like you can build and monetize their audience. To learn more, all you have to do is visit verbal.com, that's VURBL.com, and sign up as a beta subscriber. While you're on the site, peruse our growing list of podcast reviews to discover your next binge-worthy show. And now, on to Life Transformation Radio.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 79 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. You can subscribe right on the Blog Talk Radio website at blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio, or pick us up on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, Himalaya app, the Google Play Music app, Pandora, and available on our YouTube channel, Life Transformation Radio. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, amazing human beings that are impacting the world around them. My guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can call us up and join the show at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please tell me welcome to the show. My guest for today, Jason McClaren. Jason, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having me on the show, and good to be part of the network and help out your listeners.
Man, super pumped to have you on the show. We are both Air Force veterans, both got out and did the consulting. You know, I consult with podcasts, consult with businesses. You consult with, businesses and companies and everything that you do. So I don't know, maybe it's a military thing, maybe it's an entrepreneur in our blood, but super cool, man, to have a totally like-minded guy on the show.
Definitely. I think it's that military mindset of giving 110% of everything we do, and we just can't sit still.
Yep, for sure. I always tell the wife, we'll go through like an airport. I fall asleep anywhere. First of all, I fall asleep anywhere. Secondly, I can sit around for hours for no reason. She's like, I can't do this. I got to get up. I got to do something. I said, military has given me a special set of skills. I can hurry up and wait for hours for no reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't sit still very long, but I can sleep anywhere. My wife jokes I've fallen asleep at like 3-year-old birthday parties before, and so yep. I've got that set of skills.
Heck yeah, man. So the title of this episode is The Dynamic Leader with podcaster and military veteran Jason McClaren. Jason is a former Air Force firefighter turned safety and emergency preparedness consultant who, after following his childhood dream to be an airman, was thrust into a tailspin after a tragedy struck his family. After his departure from the military, he has dedicated his life to public safety, emergency preparedness, and volunteer service. He has gone on to launch businesses and a nonprofit organization that aids first responders and military personnel. His consulting firm, McClaren and Associates, fosters transformation by providing emergency preparedness consulting services to create excellent engagement cultures for companies in all industries. To make an even bigger impact and inspire change, he co-founded Go Heroes, Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 that develops activities for first responders and veterans, providing them with skills and knowledge that will best suit them for their future roles. In addition to all this, Jason is also a part-time wedding officiant under his brand name, McClaren Weddings, performing weddings in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and beyond. His website is leadershiploading.com. Go check out his podcast. Subscribe to that one as well while you subscribe to Life Transformation Radio. The link tree with all of his links to everything that you want to know about him is right there under the link tree link. You can also go to jasonmcclaren.info, and we'll talk about a gift that he has on that website later on in the show. This episode's show notes are brought to you by Verbal, and Verbal is launching a new technology for audio creators like me, so our message is broadcast loud and clear. You can join the beta version at VURBL.com, verbal.com. Jason, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever ask yourself, is why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think that all goes back to when I was a young kid. I was the oldest son of three boys, and we were raised primarily by our single mom. She was married 5 times, but they were all short-term marriages. And my why is helping people. That's my whole goal in life, is to help other people, whether it be through service or through gifts or something like that, where whatever they need. And so, like I said, that all started when I was young, helping my brothers, just get through their struggles, whether it be school, education, things as simple as riding their bike, the things that normally your father would teach you. I was the one there that would have to teach them. Then that kind of escalated when I got my first job, and I was a lifeguard, right? And so I'm, out there helping people. It's a little thing, but you're still out there to help people that are in distress. And, as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, learning how to do CPR and save people that are in danger. That just kind of thrust me into that. And then, as you mentioned earlier, my whole goal, starting in my junior high school days, was to be an Air Force Airman. I had been told stories by my mom about my birth father, and those later became true that guy was not my birth father, but he was an Air Force Airman. And that's what I wanted to do, even though I'd never met him. And so that's all my goal through my junior high school career. I did JROTC, was planning myself to be an Air Force Airman. And that was my other way of helping the country and helping other people, right? And so I got in the Air Force and became a firefighter, and just another step of helping others, and became a hazmat guru and hazmat instructor, and just worked my way up the ranks. And then after 7 years in, my brother passed away. My brother died in a fiery car accident, and the Air Force, and the Air Force gave me an opportunity, or the option, to take a hardship discharge. And that's where you're allowed to break your contract or your enlistment, and it's not a ding against you. They waive all your commitments to the military, and you're able to get out and take care of whatever you got to take care of. And at this point, my mom was very high-risk suicidal. After talking to her doctors and that sort of thing, I chose that was going to be the best option, was to get out and go take care of her. And so I got out, and like I said, I went into a tailspin. I just kind of went into depression. I was living in a 300-square-foot garage apartment, that had leaking walls and no plumbing and that sort of thing, and just kind of was doing odd jobs, trying to figure out what to do in my life. And And so I kind of went back to that helping people. And so I started what would become my consulting firm today, and helping small businesses with fire code issues, because that was my background. I go talk to them, they'd get a write-up from the city or something like that, and I go talk to them and explain how they could correct that, or meet with nonprofits and help them build emergency plans. And it's kind of grown into what it is today, where we're a team of 8 people throughout the country, and we respond to as-need services to different companies and help them build plans and go from there.
Right on, man. I can't even imagine what it feels like to lose a family member, like a sibling. And I just recently had some grandparents that are older, and they're they passed away. So that's tough. Grandparents are tough, but having someone that close to you, man, geez, I can't even imagine what that was like. I've heard of that hardship break from the military. I think there was like 2 years. I think you had to go back within 2 years, or you just stayed out, or something like that. I can't remember exact details, but I think there was only like a 2-year thing. I know some people have gotten out for like 4 years and then went back in. I know people have done that, but I think the hardship one's only like 2 years or something.
Yeah, and it depends on your re-enlistment code, and I don't exactly know what mine is right now, but and then also, when you want to go back, it depends if they need you, right? You know how the military is, so obviously firefighting. Yeah, firefighting is a popular career field, and so when I even got my mom back on her feet and she remarried, and I tried to some recruiters about going back, they said, well, we don't need firefighters. Even if we could get your hardship waived, you'd have to be like EOD or a fueler or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So
yeah, I don't blame you, man. Screw that. Like, I'm good. So what would you say your transformational moment was that happened to you and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
So that was it, man. Like I said, I was living in a little apartment, 300 square feet, and sleeping on a bed that I made out of plywood. And I just decided I've got to do, nobody's going to help me, right? My mother wasn't in a position to help me. My military training, I kind of leaned on that. But I was in East Texas, and there was no big veteran groups there, especially none that were, catering to my age. I was early 20s at the time, or mid 20s, and W and those aren't really catering to that type of demographic. And so, like I said, I bunkered down, started, learning business. I didn't know much about business, and so I, started researching business, what I needed to do. And I started off simple as just a guy in a truck with a clipboard and a receipt book, and I'd go to these businesses and just knock on doors and say, hey, this is what I do. Do you need help? That sort of thing, and get with these business owners. And, started with small businesses, mom and pops, and moved up to medium size, little retail stores and that sort of thing. And then after I got going a little more and started going back to the 9 to 5, I learned that, I needed to get some education under my belt, because I wanted to, be a CEO or COO type position in a company, a large company. And so bunkered down and got a 9 to 5 and worked nights and weekends, obviously, on my degree, and went to American Military University and got my bachelor's in fire science, because that was obviously my background in the fire service. And then really took an interest to emergency management while I was doing that, and really jumped into that and started using my background to learn more about emergency management and get into that career, and got my master's in emergency management. And so that kind of strengthened my skill set and kind of gave me the skins on the wall to show these companies when I'm going to talk to these larger companies about, we're not just, show our background and what we do. And we've done everything from, small events like 5Ks. I say emergency management, but you can also use emergency management for scheduled events. And so we use the same premises for the same thing. But anyway, we've done like small, charity 5Ks, and that's kind of what branched out to Go Heroes, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we've gone all the way up to, presidential library openings where we've got 5 U.S. presidents there at the scene, and we're having to coordinate all the logistics and, operations on the back end. Yeah, so
that's like doesn't Secret Service do that?
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the entity. So obviously the Secret Service is going to do all the.
Yeah. I got you.
But I'm talking about kind of the off-site stuff that still has to support the operation.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously Secret Service and the government's going to run all the actual event stuff, but you got all the adjacent businesses and communities that are still going to get impacted by the event that aren't going to get that support. So we go and help those types of organizations, and they're what they need to do. But yeah, so that kind of spun off Go Heroes, and that kind of is a whole nother story.
Wow, very cool, man. You're definitely doing a lot of cool stuff, man, outside the military. But it all started in the military, learning those skills, learning the strategies and tactics that we learn with our job. Me working on the flight line and then moving to a depot job where I would go and recover shot down airplanes or busted up airplanes that got damaged in battle and all that, to being a drill instructor, and learning how to teach SABC and all that, to going back to the flight line and working on equipment and all that. And, you learn a lot of what not to do as a leader, because there are a lot of bad leaders, but then there's those good ones, and they keep us straight, and they keep us in our perfect mindset, because there's a lot of times that people want to get out of the military because they just can't take the leadership anymore. It's not like you can just be like, I quit, you suck. People. I always tell people that people are not leaving their dream job because they hate their dream job. They leave their dream job because of the toxic leadership and the toxic environment. And I've never seen a place more toxic than the military.
But the military definitely has toxic leaders in certain elements, and that's one thing I've seen. Obviously, being an airman, and then in the fire service, you have a whole other rank structure with the fire ranks, and then you've got civilians that you work with. A lot of the bases are mixed, because when all these military guys deploy, there still needs to be somebody there to be a firefighter. So a lot of our fire stations are half and half. You've got 2 or 3 military guys and 2 or 3 civilian guys, and so there's all those political dynamics with the civilian guys are like, well, I've already been in the military. Usually they're ex-military and they're now a captain or a chief or something like that in their ranks. And I definitely ran into toxic leadership, and that kind of is what led me to start Leadership Loading. And it's an offshoot of Go Heroes Inc. And so it's a podcast that provides leadership skills and interviews with resilient leaders or people that are experts in their field. And Sean, you've been a guest on the show, and we did a series on resilient leadership where you came on and talked. But we have all kinds of guests, and these are people that I've either worked with personally or have an opportunity to kind of vet them and understand their leadership style, and hopefully get the message out to veterans, but also give them a chance to, if they're coming out of the military, use their skills in a better way to get a better career. We don't want these guys getting out and taking a job they don't like you said, and just breaking rocks. We want them out there, we want them out there excelling and using their skills to the best of their ability, and hopefully getting that dream job they want when they get out.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Definitely need to figure that part out, because there's so many veterans that get out of the military and they're like, I don't know what to do. Some of them do 4 years and get out and they're like, I'll figure something out, But I'm worried about the guys who are 10 years in, 15 years in, 20 years in, who they just retire. They're like, I'm going to sit on the beach and drink my Mai Tais and roll some doobies. And then 6 months in, they're like, okay, I don't know what to do with my life. Now I'm bored. This sucks. Right? Yeah. So definitely got to figure out what we're going to do. And I talk a lot about suicide awareness and talk a lot about resilience. It's one of the topics we talked about on your show, Leadership Loading, is, those resilient leaders. How do we stay resilient no matter what? And right now, with everything going on with the pandemic and quarantine and everything, resilience is super, super high on people's needs list. The kids are getting restless. The parents are getting restless. So this has definitely impacted more than people know. Domestic violence rates are up. Suicide rates are up. So this is definitely taking a toll on people.
Yeah, it's a climate change for everyone. I think there's a few people that made the humorous jokes like, I didn't have to modify my life for quarantine. This is what I do every day. But yeah, for most of everybody else, it's, a full upshift, and that's going to bring stressors, and that's part of what the communities need to assist with on the emergency management side is, things for these people to do that are still going to meet their requirements. And some communities have stepped up to the plate and done, the drive-by parades, or, where the teachers come by, or the drive-bys at the hospital where the fire trucks and stuff, have their sirens and lights to show support. Because this is, a stress that we've never seen before as a nation and as a world. And that's kind of led me to do my second podcast. This show is a disaster, because I was getting a lot of questions on what should we be doing, and so rather than try to answer all these people individually, I just decided to do a podcast where I can put it all out there every day. And that's a daily show, a daily podcast, and kind of answer some questions that I've been hearing from people. And we talked about the same things, the stressors and, things like, all these buildings that are vacant are being broken into now because nobody's there to watch them. And there's like, like Van Gogh paintings being stolen from museums because there's nobody there, watching it. And, it's funny, I did my episode, and then 2 days later that happened. I said, it's not rocket science, people. We can't just shut down the whole world.
Right. I said that a long time ago. I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. Like, how do you, obviously police are essential, and literally I don't remember who it was, but I literally saw I don't know if it was here in North Carolina they were going to do, but there was like highway patrol or like sheriffs or whoever that were like, we're not going to do traffic stops. Like, you literally told people that you weren't going to. Like, what the hell's the matter with you? Why would you tell people that you're not going to write tickets? You're not going to, whatever. I'm not going to come out to your house if you have a domestic violence, whatever. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You don't tell people that. You just, if you're not going to do it, just don't do it. Right? Don't tell people that. If anything, you say, we're going to be harder. We're going to be stricter. We're going to, with less people on the road, we're going to be looking at everybody. We're going to be pulling people over. We're going to, make it a police state, but don't actually do it. Just tell people you are. So it, like, at least deters somehow. If you say, oh, we're just trying to do it, then you're like, oh, free pass. So I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people.
It's like military OPSEC, right? You don't tell everybody what you're doing. You just plan it, and then you do it internally. And I've seen that on other all these like Facebook groups and stuff, they're the military veteran groups or whatever, and they're like, people get on there and just ask blatant questions, and people are like, just comment OPSEC like, hey idiot, don't ask that question. or don't answer.
Right.
Nobody answer that question.
Right.
And
I
don't
left
know
a
what
lot of
cities
veteran
those are.
groups because of that.
Yeah.
I left a lot of veteran groups because of that stuff. It's like you get out of the military and you just like lose your mind. Like, first of all, I can't answer that. Secondly, you can ask that question all you want. You're not going to get an answer. Anybody who does, like, that's dumb. So it's almost like you just, I'm a civilian now. I don't have to listen to, whatever I used to know. So, frustrating.
Yeah, that takes me in another topic on social media. I did my thesis on social media for emergency management, and this pandemic's just been ripe for the people looking for attention and sending out the mass messages on Trump's going to do martial law, or the 5G towers are causing coronavirus, and
oh my gosh,
all these random things. And of course, my mom and my wife are always the ones, like, they'll forward me a picture or a screenshot of something. They're like, "Is this true?" And then I'll do my research on it, and I'm like, "No, it's not true." But
right?
I mean, it's so bad that even FEMA had to put a tab on one of their pages for all the rumor control. It's just getting ridiculous.
Right.
And so it's crazy.
Yep. Dude, there's so much. There was a report a couple of days ago that said that scientists found out that COVID-19 is actually a synthetic virus, man-made, created with 4 extra amino acids, which makes it more volatile and more contagious than any other virus. And so there's those reports coming out. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't listen to a lot of what I read in the media, and I haven't watched the news half the time. But I don't know, man. You just do your own independent research, and go from there. And you can pretty much believe anything you want to believe, depending on how you look at the world. You can pretty much believe anything. But there was a report like 2 days ago that said that synthetic virus. It's actually man-made. It's not a live virus. They're testing bat coronavirus, and somebody created a man-made virus, and then it leaked, and then I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. All the conspiracy theorists rejoice. Whether it is or it isn't, that's not the question. It's okay. Let's say it is. Then what? Now we gotta do a lot of preparedness, because then the world gets mad at each other, and then there's always like possible world wars, and then it's like, jeez, man.
Well, this is the first big disaster that wasn't natural that we've had,
right,
that social media has been around for. If this would happen 12 years ago, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have smartphones, and so now somebody says something and everybody just hits retweet or share, and they don't even think about it, and then it gets to the older people that don't research, or even a lot of people don't research stuff, like you said. Who has time to research everything? My job is that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right. I read it up. It's true.
Yeah, and that's my job, and I spend most of my day researching stuff to make sure that these companies I'm working with, or these clients I'm working with, are staying legal. Because everything's changing every day, and so I'm having to reread, declarations and things that are coming out, and interpret them for the client, and make sure that they're not breaking any rules or laws or regulations or whatever. And I don't have time to go and do the social media research also. I do have a lady on my team, Terry. She's a very good cyber expert, and she came on my podcast because like I said earlier, I was getting all these questions, and we talked about social networking, which, people will use this pandemic, and they have used it to kind of try to infiltrate, passwords and that sort of thing, or get get into your company, and use the pandemic as a smokescreen to, bring harm.
Scammers, man. So crazy, the scams that I've heard of. People getting scammed out of thousands of dollars, and I'm like, there's a special place in hell for these people. You know, there's a very special place designed just for you where you take advantage of people during a pandemic, and you take advantage and you create scams to capitalize on a pandemic. Like, there's a special place in hell for you. You know, It's crazy. I've gotten a couple phone calls like, hey, this is the IRS. I'm like, you realize the IRS doesn't actually call people, right? Like, you know that's a thing. Click, they just hang up. Like, you idiots.
Yeah,
like,
the PPE was the big one. You know, people scamming.
Yep.
You know, a guy just got arrested for $30 million in scams for saying he had the PPE and didn't have it, and then people selling fake PPE, you know, stamping the N95 on it themselves and selling it, and now it's the stimulus checks, you know, people getting scammed out of their stimulus checks. It's just an ongoing cycle.
That's so crazy, man. So let's talk about how you elevate the world around you. Super cool that, you know, you were planning the, you know, that library with the president. You got so much tactics, strategies, and things in planning, and like super cool right there, man. That's got to be awesome. How do you elevate the world around you? What is it that you do to help businesses, companies, you know, in your consulting? You know, how are you elevating the world around you?
So with my for-profit, McClaren and Associates, we do obviously consulting for either disaster loss reduction, improved compliance, like I said, you know, making sure they stay compliant, helping with resources and partnering with them to make sure that they're prepared in disasters. And we do it for all industries, but our primary industries are higher education, healthcare, hospitality, and houses of worship, or churches, or religious organizations. And so we do that. We do, like I said, the event management, which is the scheduled events, you know, big parties, big celebrations, that sort of thing, where you're going to have thousands and thousands of people or whatever. And then we do the as-needed emergency management, which is what we're doing a lot right now with emergency operations center support. And we can do that remote or in person. And then we have incident command support when maybe they have a team that already has been through some type of incident command training, but maybe they don't use it very often, and they kind of just need some liaisons there to kind of, you know, help them with things. And then we help with lower level stuff. We have like fire watches, you know, if a building's going down, maybe the fire alarm doesn't work, and they need to have someone there to just do a fire watch and make sure that it doesn't catch on fire. Little tasks like that. And we do red teams, which is kind of we test their security. Say they want to test maybe a lockdown procedure, and we will be they call it red team, which is the threat, a simulated threat, so we can, you know, come in, act like the bad guys and see if we can get in or whatever. And then we do a lot of training. A lot of our stuff is, and a lot of our stuff is just regular training throughout the year. You know, maybe they have to have a annual training. We go in and we'll do preparedness training and teach their staff about what to do in case of a tornado, what to do in case of an earthquake, that sort of thing. We've partnered with the company in the Dallas area to do CPR and AED training, because no one on my staff has that credential, but I partnered with this other fire guy. He's pretty cool, and so we just connect them with them, and then it kind of just goes from there, and that's on the for-profit side. And then on the nonprofit with Go Heroes, I think that's the best way we elevate is we do the Heroes Helping Heroes in our community is our tagline. And so the Heroes Helping Heroes is helping military veterans, first responders, basically excel after they've left that career. So if you're a military veteran, like you said, and you've done 4 years, you're probably not up to par with what you want to do. You know, you probably don't really know how to write a resume yet. You haven't really interviewed very much for jobs. You haven't really fine-tuned, you know, how to talk to a civilian employer. And so we try to help with that. And then with the first responders, you know, a lot of these first responders, they do that right after high school. You know, they go join a police department, fire department. Most of the time they're going to stay there. Unless they just, like you said, they have a toxic leadership and they just can't find another job, and they'll leave and go do something else. But why waste all those skills? You know, if you went to the, you know, however long 12-week police academy and, you know, basically have taken a year of college classes to become a police officer and, you know, done a year or two on the beat, you know, why do you want to get out and be a security officer? You know, not to say that that's not a good job, but you have a lot more skills than what that job entails. So we want to help them, you know, redefine their skills, reshape their image, and kind of get them into something that's more conducive to their career style. And then
cool.
we also use the same skills from Jason McClaren and Associates, the disaster training and that sort of thing, to help other nonprofits that maybe can't afford, you know, our services on the for-profit side. And then we partner with people, especially in times of crisis. Maybe if a fallen officer or a fallen firefighter event happens and somebody wants to, you know, make a charity for that specific firefighter or police officer, we'll partner with them and umbrella that underneath our 501c3, so they don't have to go through all that legal mumbo jumbo to, you know, get that going. They're able to it's kind of a Kickstarter where we're able to, you know, umbrella that for a little while and get them on their feet, and then they are able to go on by themselves. So that's kind of what we do there. And so with all that, we're, you know, just helping the community, helping our clients. You know, we push out as many free resources as possible on our website or through multimedia. The only time we really charge is when it's, you know, access to us. You know, if we need to actually be on site for something, is the only time we're really getting to the pay for play stuff.
Right on, man. Talk about your podcast, Leadership Loading. Why'd you start it? How can people listen? And just go from there.
Yeah, so Leadership Loading, started it January of 2020. I started recording in December of 19, and obviously started with friends and family, or friends, and reached out to my military buddies that I knew had good leadership skills. And like I said earlier, I wanted to help and kind of make a digital version of Go Heroes, where we're able to put out leadership tips, business tips, career tips to those maybe wanting to make that transition from military to career, or that are stuck in a position that they're not satisfied with and want to climb that job ladder or corporate ladder. I know when I, you know, went through all my struggles and got into the corporate world, my supervisor at the time had to, you know, kick me in the butt a few times because I was, you know, dragging ass and not really, you know, doing my best. All right. And I wasn't living the core values of the Air Force that, you know, I live now. And
yep.
I think I blame that on my tailspin and my downward turn. But I just didn't understand the corporate world, and I thought different of it. So anyway, we bring on experts. They're either CEOs, industry leaders, military veterans, trainers, leaders, coaches. We bring all those types on and just provide, you know, it's episodes are 20 to 30 minutes long, provide a shorter format where, you know, these people can listen and kind of get these tips and hopefully use them in their career search. And if they need more, they can come to goheroes.org and we'll help them out there.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. I appreciate you sharing that. And congrats on the nonprofit as well as the success in your podcast. It's very, very cool, man. A lot of people are listening to podcasts right now because they got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
So moving forward, what's your plan for the rest of 2020? I mean, you're kind of in a unique position that emergency preparedness, kind of in a unique position here, I think.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how businesses are going to respond. I know this has become really more of a business continuity disaster. There's not much response going on if you look around the country, except for New York and New Orleans and that sort of thing. A lot of these hospitals and businesses are just kind of sitting and waiting. So it's really become a business continuity issue, and that's one thing that I really strive on, being that I've worked in the corporate side a lot more than the government side of emergency management. And so I'm really reaching out to my partners and clients and kind of seeing how we can strengthen their business continuity plans for the future now that we've been able to test them. And obviously the clients that I've talked to before and haven't closed deals with, I'm reaching out to and, kind of just rewarming that lead, if you know how that goes. And
oh yeah,
just seeing if I can turn that warm lead into a hot lead, and then seeing where it goes from there. But I think once we reopen the country like they've been talking about, we'll see who's really serious about maintaining their business or who closed. I mean, there's going to be some businesses closed, but this has made opportunity for a lot. It's made a lot of opportunity, and I started a second podcast during this. I've been able to re-streamline my pipelines and re-streamline my sales funnels and all that kind of stuff because I had a little bit more time when I wasn't commuting into the big city of Dallas, and so it's made opportunities. We're gonna see some businesses fall, but there's gonna be opportunity, especially with some of these small business loans and that sort of thing. But I think the small businesses that are going to fall are obviously not going to reopen, but the ones that make it through, I think they're going to reevaluate their business continuity. And I think the restaurants have already kind of done that. They've kind of modified their game plan. What they're doing is essentially a micro business continuity plan with the to-go orders and delivery. Restaurants that didn't typically do delivery are doing delivery.
Little Caesars, man. Little Caesars Pizza never did delivery. They're doing delivery.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely, and I know that there's some restaurants that have really stepped up, that they offer, like you can go to like Texas Roadhouse. Here in North Carolina, you go to Texas Roadhouse, they have steaks already ready to go. They have them prepared. They've always been in the front of the store, but why would I buy those steaks when I'm going to go eat steak anyway? So anyway, they've been selling like crazy. Like instead of because there's no meats anywhere, right? You go to like Walmart, like all the steak's gone. So where do you go? To Texas Roadhouse because they got steak. So you buy their steak, offer just like they normally would, but they've really highlighted it now. So
they've turned to grocery sales.
Yeah, pretty much. So as we close the show, I want to talk about your website, Jason McClaren, McClaren.info. There was a free gift on there. Talk about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of my launch page. You can get to pretty much anything I do from there. If you scroll about halfway down, I've got my free books and worksheets. I've got 3 things on there right now. One, if you're still in the quarantine, is the ultimate guide to indoor fun. And I've made that because part of emergency management is well-being, and so maintaining your well-being. And I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of tapped out of ideas right now, so that's a cool little book. It's got about 44 things you can do around the house to keep your kids and yourself entertained. There's a section for adults and a section for kids. And then the Dynamic Leader is part of the Leadership Loading podcast. It's 11 principles for effective leadership. It's a little worksheet to kind of quiz yourself and see what type of leader you are. And then the Small Business Survival Guide, like we were just talking about, is a guide for jasonmcclaren.com. It kind of helps you, if you're a small business owner, figure out what you can do to survive this pandemic and kind of keep your business up and running until everything rebalances. So all 3 of them are free. A couple of them, all it costs is your email. And the indoor guide is totally free. Just click it and it'll download, and all my contact information is on there also.
Awesome, man. Perfect. Well, man, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show and giving the value to the listeners and what they can do and what you do to elevate the world around you. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and sharing that transformational moment.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything resonated with our conversation with Jason today on Life Transformation Radio, please reach out to him through his social media contacts, through his website, leadershiploading.com. Also go to Jason McClaren, McClaren, jasonmcclaren.info. Check out the links at the link tree and connect with him. Send him a friend request, letting him know that you listened to his episode on Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.